Good morning to all of you out there. It's May 21, Thursday, and I'm sure some of you out there are scratching your head, trying to figure out, shall I start going into, it's almost a weekend mode, or it's same old, same old. In any case, it's May 21, Thursday, and you are watching the program Agenda on Signal TV, channels 8 and 250, as well as the Facebook page of One News PH and YouTube. Today we will be lining up quite a number of guests, and please, whatever happens during our show, try to keep calm, try to stay cool, because we will be talking about taxes. Like one of our guests is suggesting an imposition of tax or collecting VAT on transactions with Netflix, Lazada, Shopee, and all those familiar vendors that many of you, millions of you, are now patronizing, dealing with, in order to entertain yourself or to at least meet your needs. So we will have Congressman Joey Salceda, the chairman for the House Committee on Ways and Means, to explain to us what exactly is the deal. And we also found out that the House also passed on third and final reading the new rates for road users tax. And if I'm not mistaken, or if the information I received is accurate, there will be an increase of 5% on road users tax at the time when most of us can't be on the road. So in any case, that's part of it. And we will try to reach out to a presidential advisor on entrepreneurship, Joey Concepcion, because it seems that our friend Joey has been the subject of attacks by the medical profession when he referred to some doctors as being, I'm paraphrasing it, they're the ones who are criticizing, but what solutions are they offering? And apparently it was either taken out of context, or people have reacted to it, made it their own issue without realizing that the issue is all about testing and the difference between the swab test and the the rapid test. In any case, we will be inviting Joey Concepcion to come on the program, and we have a number of other guests. We will have, if I'm not mistaken, 3 sets of guests today. Let's move on to the program, and first, the headlines of the Philippine Star. The government may now turn to localized lockdowns as part of the response to COVID-19 pandemic. Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr., chief implementer of the National Policy Against COVID-19, said that the Interior Department is now working with local government units to implement lockdowns of barangays or villages with COVID-19 cases. Galvez said this will allow the country to stem the spread of the coronavirus while also preserving the economy. Aside from the localized lockdowns, Chief Implementer Galvez also has his hands full with the number of overseas Filipino workers returning home. In the next 2 months, around 42,000 OFWs will come home to the Philippines, and Galvez said accommodating all of them in quarantine facilities will be a challenge. Currently, there are already 27,000 OFWs staying in government-designated quarantine centers. Many of them are longing to go home, but they are either still finishing their 14-day quarantine, excuse me, or they are waiting for the result of their COVID-19 tests. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque has said that efforts are in place to speed up the release of these OFWs. President Duterte has gone on record to defend NCRPO Chief and Police Major General Debold Sinas over the Mañanita birthday controversy, but the Philippine National Police assures this will not affect the charges Sinas is facing. PNP spokesperson Bernard Banak made this statement after the Internal Affairs Service, which is handling the criminal and administrative case of Sinas, also shared the same opinion. Sinas and his associates are facing charges after photos of them holding a gathering to celebrate the NCRPO's chief birthday, a clear violation of the quarantine protocol. Even before Duterte's defense of Sinas, PNP Chief Police General Archie Gamboa also defended Sinas and stated that it is hard to find a replacement for the NCRPO chief. Meanwhile, let's move from the PNP to the PNP Academy, where a female cadet is graduating at the top of this year's class. Cadet Lei Ann Bancho Palermo is number one among 277 graduates of the PNPA Mandayug class of 2020. Palermo, a Zamboanga City native, will receive the Presidential Kampilan for her achievement. She and 58 others will join the Bureau of Fire Protection. Over 200 will join the PNP, while 16 others are slated to go to the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology. So that's most of the news, and we will continue to update you on the headlines as they come. But allow me to show you this picture from the Philippine Star. That's just a photo of what happened yesterday, or a recent photo of motorcycles. Most of them are delivery people who were basically created a procession of motorcycles on the Radial Road 2 between the boundary of Bacoor, Cavite, and Las Piñas yesterday. That's what's happening out there. So if you're yearning, missing, and aching to go back on the road, maybe wait up a little, because it's just really crazy. You'd be shocked at the congestion that the checkpoints have created. But it's not the fault of the PNP. Someone's got to check. In any case, let's move on. I don't know if... okay, we have our first guest ready. He is the second representative of the 2nd District of Albay, Congressman Joey Salceda. Are you with us this morning, sir?
Yeah, good morning, Cito.
Looking great, bright, and sounding good, Congressman. The question is, handa ka na bang tanggapin ang panunumbat at pambatikos ng mga adik sa Netflix?
Para po sa kanila, andito po ang chat ng Netflix. Sinasabi that they are supporting the bill.
Oh, okay, bravo. Good for you. We were wondering about this. People were surprised that you came out with this idea in the middle of the pandemic. Can you please give us a background on this, Congressman Salceda?
Una-una, nilower na po yung credit rating natin from positive to stable. Although it's still we're now 2 steps away, dati 1 step away from an A rating.
Okay.
So, nakagastos na po tayo ng 1.4 trillion para po against COVID, and of which 641 billion directly to our citizens through SAP, through small business wage subsidies, through ang dami po na mga through directly to LGUs. Now Congress is proposing 580 billion as stimulus, and additional 551 in credit stimulus through our financial sector, plus 650 billion para po sa ating pong infrastructure. In short, another 1.8 trillion. So pag tinotal mo yung dalawa, that's 3.2 trillion. Imagine, what is a sensible thing to do na para po we can support that kind of spending given the state of our economy. So, hindi mo naman pwedeng bisan yung mga nasaktan. So, hahanapin mo talaga kung sino nakinabang. So, yung makikita natin dito, there are few sectors that actually say, sabihin na natin, made a killing. So basically, because of the isolation, then the digital, well, anyway, they've been there anyway, and they've been growing really fast. So ang importante po dito is we show the world that we are prudent managers of our economy. Yes, hindi po natin pwedeng ipalaglag ang ekonomiya kasi mas mahirap yung buhatin pataas. Pangalawa, mas gusto po natin na magkaroon tayo ng V-shape kaysa po L-shape, na masakit po talaga yon, kaysa po U-shape na baka kung minsan frustrated, ay sa gitna ay bumenta ka na dahil hindi mo na po talaga kinaya dahil po ang tagal natin dun sa base. So kailangan natin yung 2008, 2009 na ginawa nung panahon po ni Presidente Gloria, where I was Presidential Economic Advisor. Makita mo yun na talagang kinaya po ng Pilipinas na i-V-shape ang recovery natin. Parang dumaan lang sa atin yung global financial crisis. Pero ngayon po, mahirap-hirap. So kailangan mo po aralin na maigi. But always, we presume that everybody has the best interest of the country in all this process. Both Congress, everyone, everybody who makes a comment on that proposal. I always presume that it is in their best, that they mean well for this country. But all I'm saying is that, now given this, the need to do stimulus, at the same time, everything of that is being borrowed. Then we need to look for certain sources. Kasi you cannot totally say, okay, utangin natin lang at at a certain point, you have to pay for them. So dito po pumasok, ito po nga proposal. And this proposal is actually not new. Since the time of Kim Hinares, we've been trying to collect these same taxes, 12% VAT and 30% corporate income tax from these digital companies. So, ano ba yung bago dun sa bill? Hindi lang ho sila nasisingil ng BIR kasi nga, one, pagdating po sa e-commerce platform like Lazada, this Lazada has been paying 15 billion ewan ko ba kung saan ang gagaling yung kanilang yung Lazada mismo nagbabayad na ng 15 billion yearly. Okay. Dahil po yung mga sellers nila katulad ng iPhone, Apple, Nike, well, they pay 12% VAT on all the imports that they bring into the Philippines. Pero yung may mga bang sellers sila, most of these are overseas sellers. Hindi naman domestic sellers yung inahabol nitong bill na to. So hindi sila, every import pay naman, all imports pay 12% VAT. So anong solusyon? Make Lazada a withholding agent. Is something wrong? Your company is a withholding agent for your salaries, or if you're, let's say, in TV5, for your they deduct what is the proper share, your share in building this country. Then what is the other problem? Well, marami po let me go straight. Facebook makes 33 billion. And Google makes 24 billion in ads. So they don't pay a single cent of taxes. Why? Because they say because it's not domiciled here, they're domiciled somewhere. But certainly, like Pogo, they benefit from participating in the Philippine economy. So ang hiningi ng BIR essentially na before they can cater to the Philippine market, they should be domiciled here, so they will be subject to 30% corporate income tax and 12% VAT, just like everybody else. So, ewan ko kung is it okay lang ba na we create a law instead para ma-justify yung kanilang presence here, na everybody pays 12% VAT and 30% except for Facebook, except for Netflix, except for Google Play, except for everybody else. So they will be exempted. So is this a new tax? No. Is it an increase in tax? No. It's just a tax administration measure because they've been escaping. They've been runaway people with respect to these taxes. So ang point ko dyan, we need the money because we are spending 3.2 trillion to save the Philippine economy.
This clearly shows what insight and how sharp you are, and I don't mean that as a flattery, because nobody ever really thought about that. That how true that is. That Facebook and all these people are making money, and that like everybody else, they should pay taxes. And if I understand regarding this. Tax on Lazada, etc., the online commerce, it's already being done in the EU countries, so it's not new. Now, the question, Congressman, is this domicile issue. How realistic or applicable is it? Because like ikaw, tiga Albay ka, I know of many companies in the Philippines who do businesses in the provinces but pay taxes in Makati, Ortigas, and some other area. And ang yumayaman sa IRA and the taxation are cities of Makati and Quezon City, Mandaluyong, Ortigas, but yung probinsya, hindi. So I guess the point is, kung dito hindi natin ma-apply or ma-challenge ang domicile issue, how much more for Facebook, Google, and Instagram?
Tingin ko naman dahil dalawang national jurisdiction. So, hindi naman katulad dito, it's really resource sharing ang pinag-uusapan, and therefore nasa mga negosyante naman natin kung saan sila pupunta, kung sa Albay sila magne-negosyo, sana. At yun naman ang ginugusto ngayon ng gobyerno, na sana yung ating pong mga negosyo ay pumunta na po sa countryside, dahil nga po 84% ng infection nandito po sa high densely populated, like doon nga po nagsimula po to. Pero I think just going to your question with respect to domicile, I think yung mga POGO, karamihan na po ay except I think for about 10, they are not domiciled here. So most of them now are domiciled here, and therefore we are able to collect taxes. We're making them withholding agents for their wages of their 200,000 Chinese workers. So I think at a certain point, I think we just have to insist that everybody must pay their fair share of economic development, nation building, as well as, of course, the enforcement of rule of law. Kasi yun po ang pinaka-critical po sa mga digital economy, the rule of law. Because imagine, it is an imaginary thing that forces certain changes in the real world, but you have to rely on the enforcement of rule of law, like of course intellectual property rights, etc., para po sila mag-thrive. I think it is in their best interest. Just like Grab is also openly supporting the bill. Netflix is openly supporting the bill. And I would expect that good corporate citizens of the world and of nation state, like I expect Google and Facebook at a certain point will be supporting this bill.
Okay, at the end of the day, one benefit of this bill that you are pushing for would basically create equality between retailers, real world retailers, and online retailers. Kasi yung real world retailers may sale, may VAT, etc. They pay through the nose, so to speak, and the onlines don't. Now the question is, in terms of actual collections, how much money are you expecting to collect? Number one. Number two, what will be the impact on the consumer? Because syempre, ang consumer nag-worry, nako, baka tumaas yan by 5%, 10%, or won't be affordable anymore.
San Miguel actually pays 12% VAT. TV5 pays 12% on ads paid by San Miguel. Now, is that enough for San Miguel to raise its beer prices? If they're advertising, because they have a choice to advertise with Facebook and Google or advertise with TV5. Now, since TV5 pays 12% VAT on the advertising revenues they get from San Miguel. And therefore, I don't know, but number one, nobody goes into business without having some assumption that they have to pay some taxes somehow, somehow. So nasa ka-cost structure na nila yan. Pangalawa, everybody faces a downward sloping curve. So if you increase it so high, instead of advertising TV5, they will go, let's say, to GMA7. So number three is that these are highly competitive markets, and therefore, if you raise your prices, you just lose out. Like, for example, in Lazada, how many millions of manufacturers, traders are there trying to offer the same item, and therefore, kung tataasan po nila, dahil because eventually it is yung nagbebenta po, let's say, ng like Apple. Apple pays taxes, 12% VAT. They pay 12% VAT through Lazada, through Amazon. So if you look at their prices, because they pay the same taxes everywhere, so there's no change. Because they pay, and that's what the argument says, that is paying taxes, the right taxes that have been there anyway for the longest time, be the basis for raising prices? I would say na most of these companies, because of their it's growing and they have high returns on equity, should be able to absorb. For example, YouTube has about 20% return on equity. You ask any company if in this country after COVID, if they're making 20% return on equity. Facebook is making 21% return on equity. Amazon, 27% return on equity. Alibaba, ang nanay po ni Lazada, makes 23%. In short, between a Philippine company who pays taxes and makes only 12%, I'm sure that this company can easily absorb the incremental, kasi they're not supposed to be incremental. They should have paid it in the first place. Were it not for the lack of withholding agency and with the lack of laws that compels Philippine domicile, so that they will be something.
Yeah. What's your projected revenue from this bill?
29.1 billion. 1% of the 3.2 trillion stimulus to save the Philippine economy.
Only 1%. So I'm sorry, I'm not belittling it, pero parang sa sobrang laki nung kailangan mong ipunin or to generate, it is such a daunting realization. In any case, so let's move on to the next one, road users tax. Thanks to you, pinakawalan ko na yung mga kotse ko kasi mahal ang road users. No, but in all seriousness, I've received a few messages and they're worried. Is it true that the road users tax is going to go up by 5%?
By 5% lang? Because
that's why.
Hanapin mo naman kasi dito yung may kakayahan po na mag-recover agad dahil po marami po silang savings. And usually, car ownership is pero hindi naman yung cars ang pagbabayarin dito Usually po yung mga public transport hindi rin po kasi halos kumbaga dahil po kay Margo yung mga car owners 30% increase lang every year for 3 years kasi naman since 2004 hindi po ito na-adjust. Pero I don't expect that to be kasi Congress approved it pre-COVID. So I'm sure na if at all na I think ma-approve niyan baka next year na. Ma-approve next year, pero ang effectivity will be, I think, mostly be conditional that there is some form of economic recovery. So kasi nga, it impinges on, of course, mga sectors. Tingin ko, ewan ko, sino ba hindi apektado ng COVID? Lahat naman
Yeah.
Ang hindi lang apektado ng COVID, ito pong mga digital economy kasi they're growing 30, 40, 50% because of the isolation. And that's on top of their growth due to the shift or the migration from real world to digital world because of the advantages it's offering. And so pag iniisa-isa ko kasi kung sino pa po can do the lifting for the Philippine economy, kasi we need public goods and we need to recover the economy in a V-shaped form. So pag kinalkal mo talaga, there are very few. So kailangan lang siguro talagang hindi mo naman po talaga you cannot squeeze blood from stone, as they say. But these guys definitely are not stone, and therefore they are so, kumbaga, they're fast growing and they have the return on equity that they can shoulder a certain burden which they are not right now, and they should have actually. So yung mga yung isang tax talaga na tinitingnan namin is the POGO tax, because it is benefiting from the recovery in China. And we are probably the only country that's been able to manage, because buong Asia naman, tayo lang yata na legal ang pagsusugal, lalo na because of PAGCOR, and they are able to cater to this particular market, and it's a very lucrative market. So last year, before COVID, they were earning 400 billion, and PAGCOR is only charging them 2%, which is 8 billion. Like, we could have charged them the full 5% and earned 5 times 400, that's about 20 billion. And so malaki po. So we are looking at these two, basically about 100 at least mga 70 billion para po at least we can start the process. Kasi 70 billion naman, if you kung ano mo po yan, IPE mo yan, so that's for a sovereign like the Philippines, so PE siguro yan 20, so 20 times 7, that's 1 times 10, that's 700 times 20, 1.4 trillion. So kalahati na po. So I'm looking at, kung wala ko tayong additional resources, let's say for the organic economy, the regular economy, kasi on top of it, there is that COVID. There is the stimulus, which is the 641 plus the 840. Then you go to the congressional initiatives, which is 580 plus 650 plus at executive, which is 551, which is credit stimulus. So all told, that's 3.2 trillion. So just with the two taxes, if you earmark that to that debt, then you can easily cover half of it. I mean, these are financial fancy footwork, no? But as for me, as a former, galing po ako dyan sa markadong yan, nakikita namin for as long as there's incremental sources of for payment for these new loans, then I think they will be happy na pautangin pa po tayo. Kasi we actually borrowed already 1.4 trillion and we want to do another 1.8 trillion. Just to
it's like presenting to the lenders our commitment to pay and to generate some form of payments. Kumbaga, no, pinapakita natin na gumagawa rin tayo ng paraan on our end. Now, just allow me to please go back to the POGO, Congressman Salceda. Does this mean, and I'm taking a neutral position on the matter, I've always said, if we can contain all of the POGO operations and facilities, like let's say in Clark, gumawa na tayo ng Great Wall of Clark City there para wala nang papasok, wala nang lalabas, puro POGO lang, I'm fine. But containing the POGO industry in a location so that government can manage it is a compromise solution. But assuming that is achievable, are you saying that your position or the government's position would be to further enhance and promote POGOs locating in the Philippines?
Well, in the first place, they've been trapped here. Yung 200,000 workers, hindi man sila nakauwi. Dito po sa bahay ko, sa condo ko, buong floor, ako lang yata ang Pilipino eh. So they've been here. And they've been disciplined. So there are so many anecdotal evidence of all dysfunctional behavior. But at the end of the day, really, it's how you implement the rule of law. So they're just like all of us, subject to the rule of law, especially for them that they are, that they are kumbaga sa they are our guests. So, pero tinitingnan ko kasi sa buong Asia, sino lang po ang nakakapag-offer ng the same service to the Chinese market? Tayo lang po eh. Kumbaga sa dati sa Amerika, Yung Las Vegas lang po, legal po ang gambling. Dito naman sa atin po, dahil po sa PAGCOR. So, in short, am I happy na we can collect 56 billion from them? Syempre, if there are better sources, why not? But at the stage of our economic development in the cycle of nation building, I think this certainly should be exploited. It's not a sponsored economic activity. It is not an incentivized economic activity. It's just there, and we need that in order to do some lifting. I keep using the lifting because we need to lift the COVID burden. So that is
Okay.
actually my position there.
Well,
Nandyan eh.
you might be surprised, but I actually support you in this push, and we will continue to support your proposals here on agenda. And we hope that you get as much more support from other sectors, and sana magawa na natin yung Great Wall around the Pogo para tapos na yung issue. Thank you very much. Yeah,
Everybody goes to work.
Yeah, doon lang sila lahat. Thank you very much, Congressman Joey. And you're looking good, you're looking healthy, and please stay safe and strong. God bless you, sir.
Ay, maraming salamat.
Okay, that's Congressman Joey Salceda. He is the House Committee Chairman on Ways and Means. And from one Joey, let's go to another Joey. We have with us the Presidential Advisor on Entrepreneurship, Joey Concepcion. Joey Con, are you there? We're still checking. Okay, there we go. There we go. Joey, good morning to you.
Yes, good morning, Cito.
Well, under the circumstance, I hope you can still maintain your cheery disposition like we were trying yesterday. It seems that after our missed interview, things just kind of took a bad turn. People have been criticizing you for a supposed statement regarding doctors, etc. I'd like to give you the opportunity to give us the background and the clarification, if you don't mind.
Well, in the interview, basically, I was addressing a group of doctors, and never did I address the doctors in large, no, especially the frontliners who I admire the most. But unfortunately, that there's some doctors who are really making it very hard for us to really help make a greater awareness for the importance of testing. I understand the issue about rapid test, and they say that it's not accurate. But at this point in time, Cito, in a week we will be moving towards GCQ, and I'm glad that in fact that the government has adopted my recommendation of really selective lockdown at the barangay level. The pronouncement of Secretary Sonny Dominguez and Secretary Galvez pinpoints to that recommendation I made to the president about 3 weeks ago, which is the right way to do it, lock down the barangay. But as we open and move towards the GCQ, of course, when you open the economy, the risk will become really higher of reinfection. And if Secretary Duque is talking about second wave, there is always that possibility. Now, the private sector had experienced a 2-month lockdown already. If we will have a second wave, that will be a big impact on the lives of so many people who have been rehired right now as we open the economy. And they will now have to be laid off again if a second lockdown or a second wave happens. And the only way to prevent that from happening is really to do focused mass testing. And in the case of the private sector, it's 204 companies that are joining ARC to start testing its own people, purely on a voluntary basis, purely paid by the company, nothing at all charged the government. That is totaling close to 1 million test kits that's arriving within this period till about June first week. That's about 450 million pesos of over 1 million test kits. No? Now, when these selected doctors were saying all of these things about rapid tests and its inaccuracy, yes, all actually, all tests, whatever MRI or CT scan, you can always have a false positive or false negative. And I'm not saying the rapid test is perfect. Yes, the advantage of the PCR is more accurate because it detects the infection within a day or two. The rapid test will detect the antibodies within the day of maybe 7 days. But then again, what is the alternative? There is no other alternative that we have because there is no capacity for the PCR or the swab testing. As you can see, between Red Cross and the government, they're fluctuating between 8 to 11,000. Senator Gordon is doing his best to try to ramp up, and he has added to the government's capacity. Now, our private sector group, Go Negosyo and the ARC group, has brought a lot of PCR machines, automatic extraction, PCR machines, and it arrived the other day. Within 3 weeks from the idea of our group, private sector, supporting 6 government hospitals, they're now all, these equipments in 3 weeks from idea to execution in the hospitals, they're now all in the hospitals, these 6 hospitals. That's how fast we move. In fairness to Congressman Janet Garin, former health secretary, she is our private sector chief implementer, and she has done a great job in seeing this through. Number two, we brought in the testing equipment at the lowest price, unbelievable price. Even those that were bringing it in were shocked at our price and they requested a rebate. So testing kits are going to drop because we know what the price is going to be, and I'm sure we want to see testing go down. But again, we cannot. That will take time. That I don't think the government will hit their target of 30,000 by next week, which is the end of the month. I think it will lapse for another 15 days. And maybe with our help coming in, hopefully we can get these machines running in the next 30 days. We will see these numbers move up to hopefully 20,000, and the end goal is 30,000. And the
30,000 a
medium-term
day.
goal, 30,000 a day of swab
Yeah.
testing, and eventually
Okay.
towards the 50,000, maybe 4 months from now. Now, why do we have to test? There is no other way but to create visibility. And I mean, these selected doctors who were somehow refuting what we were saying is, don't test asymptomatic patients. You know, if the president did not test the PSG, there's about 160 PSG members who tested positive during the period from March till today through
Yeah.
rapid tests, and they use a brand called Hilgen. Now, why are we resorting to rapid tests? Because there's no capacity right now. Number two, the execution on rapid test is much faster because you're drawing it from the blood, basically, as you see from your screen. Now,
Yeah.
and this is very good for what I call mass screening. So with the company employees, they will require a doctor and a med tech to be able to draw that blood. So the execution is faster, safer because there's less biohazard.
How quick is
And
the test results, Joey? Because I got it. I got feedback that those who are OFWs are who are getting annoyed with the quarantine say that the test results take too long. How quickly? In the case I'm referring to the swab test of the government, this rapid test kits. How quickly do you get the results?
in about 5 minutes to 10 minutes, it will come out. No, you will see a mark. But
Okay.
let's put it this way: I will use the rapid test just to see how many of them are possibly infected. But I will
Mhm.
not use that as to releasing them from quarantine. Definitely, it has to have a PCR. Why? Because the risk of these people coming from abroad with infection is quite high. And that's
Okay.
why, in terms of accuracy, there's no doubt that the PCR is more accurate because it determines the infection from day one. The antibodies of a human being to defend itself from the virus comes out in day 7, day 8. That's when it becomes more accurate. So
Mm.
this testing mode, for example, like in the rapid test, the more you do it, you do it every week, or right now many companies are looking at doing it every 14 days, the accuracy becomes much higher. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, with the PCR, determining it from the day one or day two, definitely it will catch it. So for people traveling from overseas coming here, mandatory PCR test all the time. Now, in the future, when PCR testing capacity becomes much higher, maybe in the 30,000 and 40,000, and the price goes down, I'm wishing that we can bring this down to a level of 2,000. Right now, it's anywhere between 3,500, 4,000, maybe 8,000. How many companies can even afford that? I'll give you an example. A company, more or less, a medium-sized company, would have about 1,000 employees. If you were to use a rapid test, that's about 450,000 pesos if you test one time. But the ideal is to test every 14 days, so that'll be about 900,000 pesos. Okay? Now, if
Yeah.
you use a PCR test and you pay, let's say, 4,000, if you find something at 4,000, I saw Senator Gordon saying about 4,000 is what Red Cross is charging. So 4,000 times 1,000 is 4 million for the first test. Now, if you do it twice, because when whatever test you do, the moment you step out and get your results and ride the public transportation, go to a
Mm.
grocery or go wherever, the risk of infection is always there. So when are you going to do the next test? 1 month after? That's dangerous. In a plant, if we are going to do that and our people will have to go home every day, we will mandatory minimum is 14 days using the rapid test. And it may be even as high as weekly if we see that the level of infection, especially in the barangay, is high.
Mhm.
Or else, the other alternative is to house them in the plant and test them at least once and you're fine. Now, let's say out of this, maybe there's a couple of thousand PSG people there. Even
Mm.
if they just found one positive, that 1,000 will all get infected. So if the rapid test, they say the inaccuracy there is as low as 50%, assuming they're correct. But at least you're able to filter through. So if you have somebody positive that is confirmed to be COVID, you have to take the PCR. Okay, what if there is such a thing, what they call false negative? In other words, the
I
test,
guess,
the rapid test.
Joey, I think just to summarize all of it, yes, there is a claim that the rapid test is only 50% effective or accurate, but at the end of the day, better that you have some form of testing in the workplace than none at all, because the reality is the government does not have the capacity to extend all of this
Correct.
testing to the workplaces. It's really on the burden of the employers. And the only thing accessible or available to employers that they could possibly afford, even that is a tough price at 1,007 or 2,000. At least if you can find out there is one case, then you simply close down that particular section or that particular facility. There is some measure of vigilance and protection.
Agreed, Cito. We have two eyes. So let's say with the PCR, you have maybe 80% to maybe 90% vision, because PCR you can have false negative and false positive as well. So
Mm.
it's not 100% vision. Let's say that the rapid, you'll have it 50% vision, one eye.
Mhm.
One eye is better than no eye, right? So that gives us an idea and screen. And of course, even those that are determined to be not sick, we will also be vigilant. But if we never tested, it's the same thing. Now, in terms of pricing, I think what is the most important is we have to make testing accessible and try to bring it to 2,000. I don't know if you can go, Secretary Janet Garin was saying it maybe can go down to 1,500, 1,600. It all really depends on the government negotiation on how much these test kits will come into the country. Now, it ranges anywhere between $12 to a high of $16 thereabouts. No, on the average they go for 15. But if you negotiate hard and you have a huge volume, and the Philippines will have, maybe combined with the private sector and government, that order will be so huge, and Red Cross, we can negotiate that maybe to go down as low as maybe anywhere between $10 to $12, and that brings it down to 500 to 650 pesos. Now you add all the other costs there involved as you need to with equipment, but most of the equipments that we're giving now to government, these are all donated. We're donating these equipments. And there will
Yeah.
be more donations to government
Okay.
hospitals as we move forward, and the government has a budget for that. So
Yeah,
then
Joey.
again, the
Yeah.
last thing, as
Yeah.
you
Go ahead.
ramp up volume,
Yeah.
your cost goes down. Of course, when we're testing only 8,000 people, the cost is much higher. But if you take that to 30,000 and 50,000, eventually that curve will start to go down. Similar in
Okay.
production, in anything we do.
Okay. Okay. So there is clarification. You are not gunning or going after the medical profession. You are not generalizing against doctors.
Never, never.
You've never had that character. Now, here's the question. You can beg to defer or not to answer if you wish, because my thinking is, as you know, Congressman Janet Garin has enemies. We cannot brush that aside. She has political enemies. She's had professional enemies when she was Secretary of Health. Is it possible that the opposition to the rapid testing is not about the test per se or Joey Concepcion, but it all goes back to this issue of Janet Garin and her critiques in the past?
You know, when I first met Janet through her sister-in-law, Sharon Garin, I had a very good experience meeting her. And I don't meddle into the politics. She is a legislator, and I respect that. And she has her own views. But what I see her is her talent in really execution. She knows the chairman of Sansure very well. She has brought down the prices unbelievably low. She knows how to work out these labs. She's very supportive of the private sector. From the idea to the execution is amazing. And other companies benefited from this low price. And I think the government will surely benefit from her advice. And I think the president also, I heard, listens to her. So she may have her enemies, but in the end, I think we are working with somebody who is solidly, who knows the ins and outs of DOH, where to go, where to install these machines, what brand to put. You know, I don't know anything of this. I'm not a doctor, and I don't know lab work. So we rely heavily on her. The results
Okay.
are, and even with Ayala, they're amazed with her work. They brought the prices down, even for Ayala, who initially had a higher price. So in fairness to her, she knows what she's doing. And in the end, we have one common goal with Janet and I, is
Yeah.
accessibility of testing, because we know that our businessmen or our private sector entrepreneurs, if the second lockdown happens, that will be so devastating for the Philippines. And that is definitely what I don't want to see. And that is why I'm so passionate. And maybe I went a little bit when I referred to this group, this small group of doctors, because I felt that, you know, the pressure of getting phone calls that people are going bankrupt, they don't anymore have money, their savings are getting lost, what can they
Yeah.
do? I mean, there's
That's
so many of these calls now.
Yeah, I have to confirm that, Joey, because as I was sharing with someone yesterday, I got 3 calls within the last 48 hours of people who, you would think at our level are okay, and only to discover they're flat broke. They've had to fire their employees. They don't know how they're going to make it, and it's a desperate situation. And I feel for you, my friend. Now, last question, and maybe we can end this interview in a good and happy note. Good news that it seems the government or the IATF will adopt your initial suggestion. You're the one who came up with what was deemed a crazy idea back then of lockdowns on barangay or starting the quarantine through the barangays. Now, you said earlier that we will be moving to GCQ after a week or two. Is this a definitive fact that you discussed with our government officials?
No, it's not. It's just my hunch that we will move towards the GCQ. And I'm happy that the president has acceded to that. Is the number one recommendation I made when I saw him. Just two, actually, two strong ones. Moving down to a selective barangay quarantine and let's start doing mass testing, and let's allow rapid tests to come in. So I'm glad that Secretary Galvez and Dominguez have agreed to this, because this is the right approach, a surgical approach, not a holistic of locking down Luzon and cities, but focusing on barangay captains and trusting that our mayors and our barangay captains are capable. And I believe that they will be capable. And it's true, that's what Secretary Galvez said. He got it right. This is the vision. Why? Because when you lock down a barangay, commerce will continue. It will divert away from that barangay and avoid that barangay. What will happen there? The barangay captain who did not do his job, people will get mad and will not vote for him the next time around, because people who are affected with commerce will definitely go against him. So what is the incentive here? Commerce is the incentive. If you don't want to be locked down, be vigilant. This is the NAMFREL style, remember, during the days of the quick count. You go down to the barangay level. So let's have a watchdog. And the watchdog here is basically our barangay captains and our mayors. And I'm really confident giving that the responsibility to them. Definitely, that is the way forward. That is how I say, how do we coexist with the virus? This is the manner. Create a selective barangay quarantine, because you never can go away from a quarantine, Cito. As long as there is no cure for the virus, we must have a form of quarantine, and it should be at the barangay or even the building or a small subdivision or a home. So it's selective approach, no? And that, I think, is going to be a game changer.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Joey, and please continue to stay in touch and let us know what's going on so we can share it with our audience and the public in general. You stay safe, strong, and healthy, and God bless you, my friend.
Thank you, Cito.
Okay, that's Mr. Joey Concepcion. He is the presidential advisor on entrepreneurship, but in recent times, because of COVID-19, he has really poured it out on this rapid testing, because as I mentioned, as I summarized it, it's no longer an issue of who's better or best. It's a situation where people need to go to work, and when they are on the job site or in the offices, we need to have some measure of safety, vigilance, and testing. And we will go for a quick break, and after a quick break, we will continue with our other guest. Stick around. Agenda will be right back. Okay, sorry about that. I had my mic on mute. Anyway, welcome back to Agenda. You are watching us on Signal TV, channels 8 and 250, as well as the Facebook platform of One News PH and on YouTube. And please, if you would do us a favor, please mention it to your friends, share it with your friends on Facebook, because we believe that an informed public will be a calmer public, and things will be much better. Now, let's move on to our next set of guests. We have an associate professor of UP Diliman Department of Political Science, Ranjit Rai, and applied mathematics professor of UP Diliman, Guido David. Ranjit and Guido, good morning to you guys.
Good morning, Cito. Good morning to our televiewers.
Good morning, Guido. Okay, let's do it this way. I'll ask a question, and then I'll let Ranjit answer first, and then Guido second, so that we're kind of efficient and fluid in our discussion. First up, there is a report that both of you were reacting to this MECQ and fears of a GCQ creating a second wave, or as we are being corrected by the DOH secretary, a third wave. So starting with you, Ranjit, where what's causing you to panic, my friend?
No, we're not. We're not actually. None of us are panicking or anything. What we are stating is what we believe will be the consequence of making decisions. No?
Mhm.
We just can't throw caution to the wind, and I don't think the government thinks the same way. There must be some sort of calibrated response to everything, and it should be measured with with risk in mind. So we opened the economy up, and 50% of certain industries, and we saw in the last 4 days the movement of people. Yes, the first few days were a little chaotic. So what we were merely stating was that we should not think of a spike in numbers as an if. Okay, it's really a when, a where, and by how much. That's what we were saying. That's what
Okay.
we were saying, and we want government to be prepared for it. That's all.
Okay, now how would you go about this calibrated return to normal, Guido? Because that was I think, the substantial criticism. We just kind of opened the gates and everybody got out.
Yes, yes, it does. So, partly, I think there is a um, sort of a lack of communication about yung protocols for what we are supposed to do. So, I think it created some kind of confusion. Um, yung calibrated easing up, we're not. I mean, contrary to yung reports, we're not against is GCQ or MECQ, uh, provided we have the health standards in place and provided that the numbers are declining. So, na-mention mo a while ago about the second wave and what people are talking about.
Yeah.
We're actually still in the first wave because hindi pa nag-flatten yung curve. Now, nationwide, nag-flatten yung curve if we just look at the entire Philippines. Pero that's because that's an average of all the values that we see. So, ibig sabihin, flattened na siya for certain provinces like Ilocos, Cagayan, even Central Luzon, it's flattened. And hindi na lang siya flattened sa NCR, Cebu City, and Davao City, and maybe Zamboanga City. So, ibig sabihin, for certain provinces, we're already flattened. Pero for NCR, we're not yet there. We're still in the first wave. We're not in the second wave yet. So, hindi yung problem is magkaka second wave. Problem is magko-continue yung first wave. That's our fear. If we if we really relax the quarantine.
Okay, is there enough data, and is the data up to date and accurate for anybody to make a scientific calculation, or as you are doing, modeling? Because all the external groups are saying in the Philippines, forget it. Their data is too little, too late, and it's usually 2 weeks late. And so based on that, is that correct? And can is there enough data to make what you to come up with what you guys are saying? Ranjit.
It's yeah. I think there's enough data to say that we're not ready to open up fully.
Okay.
That's one thing. They talked about calibrated, slow, gradual. But what we did over the last 4 days, in my view, and this is just my view, wasn't as calibrated and as slow as I would think. No, so many
Mm.
people came out, and it's not really government's fault, entirely, because while guidelines were still being refined, and needed to be clear and needed to be cascaded down over a period of time, a lot of people also misunderstood what the meaning of an ECQ was and what a modified ECQ is. No? And so a lot of people came out. But just looking at the WHO guidelines to reopening the economy, the first basic question is for that 6-step process is, number one, have we managed the transmissions? And at this point, Cito, if we look at the data, the answer is still no, because we haven't tested enough. And
Okay.
that's a primary first step in reopening. Now, if we're testing enough, that's good. But we're not. We're still in the process of doing so. And I understand the two Joeys that came previously, very good discussion. One on the economy and one in business. And understand, a lot of people want to move forward. But if we want to move forward, we can only do that if we have testing in place. And unfortunately, we're still grappling with this. Have we improved? Yes, we have. Should we have opened early? I disagree. I thought we could have waited until the 30th when we had a better picture. So,
Okay,
so you're talking about data. That should be what a government should be doing now, making decisions based on evidence.
Okay, what about this new new direction, or we will now do the lifting or the ECQ, GCQ thingamajiggy based on barangays at the barangay level. If there are 4 cases of COVID-19 in a barangay, that barangay gets locked down. If there are no cases, they are open to commerce. Guido?
Yes. Before I answer that, can I add some more to the previous question about the data? Yeah, we did report now there is a time lag sa data, so it could be up to 2 weeks before we get complete data. However, based on their data, we checked our past forecast. So in April 22, I think we made the forecast for May 15th. And for example, yung forecast namin for Central Luzon was 400 cases, yung actual was 410. So we were making reasonably meaningful forecasts based on this data. So parang even with the time lags, but you make accounting, you account for these time lags, there's a model, it should be okay. Now about the barangay level, I think it would be extremely difficult. If we look at the ranking of the most densely populated cities in the world, number 1 is Manila, number 2 is Pateros, number 3 is Mandaluyong. So the main problem with Metro NCR is it's very dense. These are the most dense cities in the world. So and then proximity and mobility are drivers of the disease. So as long as you have people clustering together, yun yung mga risks for spreading the pandemic. Yes, I know we have health measures in place, may mga social distancing tayo, but you can only do so much with these. And that's why the ECQ so far has been a success, because it helped this problem with proximity and mobility. Now, yung barangay level, we still don't have the contact tracing in place. So if this were reliable data, now we have people from this barangay. I mean, there's a problem with even the data that we can pinpoint who are where, because there are also a lot of asymptomatics. So that is one of the problems here. If we can't just say these are the only cases, because as we get more testing available, then we can identify more of the asymptomatics. Kasi itong asymptomatics, they do spread the pandemic.
Okay, now based on your observations of late, what is your assessment of the national government's handling of the situation? So far, it seems that things are positive, although you are pushing more for data, more for testing, etc. What are they doing that works, and what are they doing that doesn't work? Both of you can answer, whoever wants to go first. I guess, Ranjit.
I think government is trying its best. No, it responded late in many aspects of their strategy. They're catching up. Yeah, but government can't do it by itself. The private sector. I'm happy to hear Joey Concepcion is pushing his idea of some sort of first stage filtering with the rapid tests. No, I
Yeah.
think in a sense, business is trying to signal we'll try to help, we'll get people back to work while we're still ramping up or scaling up testing. Government, this is a gargantuan task. There's no playbook for this, and where it's seemingly making, where it's successful, not successful, but there's positive movement forward. In those countries that have done this, or do we continue to struggle with it, and but moving forward, it wasn't just government alone. The private sector, civil society came together, worked together along a blueprint. Okay, and right now we're still in the process of you know uh, making that roadmap. The economic roadmap was discussed by Joey earlier, the business roadmap by Joey Concepcion, but we have to put all of that together with government's efforts. And we were
What's
hoping that
missing?
we come out with a blueprint, we ramp up testing, we improve, we scale up and prepare our health systems first before we open. That was basically what we felt should have been the playbook. But now that we're open, water under the bridge, we now need to catch up on many things. And I think the government has to focus on scaling up, preparing, expanding healthcare facilities, and focusing on testing and tracing. This is, I think, the most important thing. A lot of the people who get COVID, Cito, are either asymptomatic, but the majority are mild cases. So
Yeah.
these are the people who can. I mean, if you think about it, Joey Concepcion is right, no? If we have a screening process, we could, in a sense, lessen transmission. But we have to have a plan that's coordinated, that's calibrated, and is at the grassroots level understood by everyone. And he talked about the barangay. The barangay is doing everything, no? In this strategy we have for COVID-19, we pass everything to the barangay. And the local government system is already stretched to the limit. We need to strengthen those local governments, especially in the areas with high risk, the so-called modified ECQ areas. We need to strengthen local government.
How
Contact
would
tracing will
you?
require an army,
Yeah,
and
but
that is not
what would
cheap.
you?
But if
Yeah,
we have
Ranjit.
civil society volunteering, I think there's a pathway to move forward, no? And I think it will require all of us to work together.
How do we strengthen the barangay, Ranjit?
you know this is not just strengthening in terms of funds. We need manpower. They're doing everything from social amelioration to the regular functions of the barangay for peace and order, and now they're running the show as far as contact tracing is concerned. Are they trained? Is there enough
Mhm.
personnel at the barangay level? Now we opened up the city, and now they have to take care of so many things of course, together with the police. The local government system is stretched to the limit, and I don't know if we can add more work for them without adding additional resources and personnel. And that's something that the stimulus package has to reckon with if we're going to move forward from this
And
situation.
ironically, sorry, ironically, they also are hesitant to ask help from their own communities because the rule says they're in charge and everybody else stays under lockdown. Because, like, I mean, I'm in this barangay in Capitolio, but I can't give my volunteer my assistance or my help to the barangay because I'm technically supposed to stay at home. In any case, Guido, I just want to ask you because I have been pushing for two things. I've been saying that second wave, third wave, guys, that's inevitable. We shouldn't even be talking about waves because as long as the virus is there, there will be contamination. And what needs to be done more than anything is to ramp up our ability for treatment of cases. And as you, Ranjit, pointed out, most of the cases are mild. It's only in the, I think, 2% or is it 20% of cases that get severe. Now, Guido, you're the mathematician. How many percent are actual, hospitalization cases of for COVID? And can we mathematically manage those numbers?
Yes, Cito. I actually have the forecast. I'm sorry, not the forecast. The data for the number of cases. I don't have it put up in front of me right now.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yes, but it's actually in our report. Usually the severe, kasi the DOH used four categories. So asymptomatic, mild, severe, and critical. So yung severe and critical, they're definitely going to require hospitalization because usually these are cases na kailangan i-intubate because they need respiratory support. Then there will be some mild cases who will also be requiring hospitalization support. So that would be, I can't put a number right now, but that would be some percentage of yung total number of cases. So if we have, let's say, 11,000 cases now, and let's say 10% of that would require hospitalization, so that would be 1,000 cases. Then you would need hospital beds in place for those. Of course, hindi mo naman pupunuin yung to capacity. And I think I heard right now we're about 70% capacity sa hospitals sa NCR, which would be manageable right now, but we can't afford really a resurgence in cases because yung 70%, pag napuno na yan, we also have to deal with other diseases. I mean, some people getting sick with, for example, dengue, because dengue season is coming, or other diseases. So we still have to,
Yeah, Guido, there's something that I can't figure out in all of these discussions. Okay, we keep getting this data from the Department of Health. Like today, the total number of cases are 13,221. Now, there are 2,932 recoveries. So, pasensya ka na, Math 77 ako. I took Mathematics 11 times. So, I need your help here. Assuming if we round off the recoveries 3,000, then there would only be 10,000 cases na lang dapat, di ba? You kind of remove the recovery from the cases. And what I can't figure out is, are we just, chalking up numbers? Kasi parang ang feeling ko, okay, nagkaroon ka ng coronavirus, gumaling ka, burahin na kita. Hindi ka na kasali sa statistics. But we kind of just like, parang we're glorifying the numbers. Yesterday it was 12, now it's 13,000. And it might be giving the wrong message to people. Are we winning the war or are we losing the war? How many are actually in the hospitals?
Yes, you're correct there, Cito. Yung true number that we should be concerned with is yung active cases, which would be total number of cases minus recoveries minus deaths. Kasi ito yung active cases. Now, the problem with, I think, hindi nire-report ng active cases. One problem that we have is yung recoveries natin are also contingent on testing. So if there's a patient, kunyari, mild siya or asymptomatic, they will not cross them out as recovered until na-test na siya again and they tested negative for the virus. I mean, normally it's mga 14 days lang for a host to carry the virus. So you could say na 14 days dapat recovered na siya. But in the database, there are a lot of cases na more than 14 days na pero hindi pa sila marked as recovered even though they are mild. So it means that they're waiting for their tests before they can be confirmed as recovered. So in fact, my guess is yung 2,000 plus recovered na nasa data right now, it should be a lot higher than that. And it's expected to be a lot higher than that. If you look at yung worldwide averages, yung recovery should be a lot higher than what we have right now. So very late din yung pasok ng recoveries natin. I mean, even early on, yung mga April and May, parang recovered natin nasa 100s pa lang or something. And this, early on, mas marami pa yung deaths kesa recovery. So normally, dapat mas marami yung recoveries. So, so I think that it's medyo overblown, but I think we also don't know precisely kung ilan yung recoveries yung true recoveries. What we just have is yung confirmed recoveries.
Okay, Ranjit, you're the political science professor. Now, in terms, a term that I've been hearing so often nowadays is optics, the visuals or the message of all of these numbers. Does it even make sense to be posting these numbers? Kasi parang ang feeling ng iba, ano ba to, takutan? Padamihan ba ito ng patay? Is this a contest? And what does this achieve really? Because in the initial stage, yes, it makes people think and are careful, but now it's like parang the more the numbers grow, the more we look like we're losers.
Yeah, well, this is part of informing the public, and I think it has a value, and it's really up to the person to interpret it if it's negative or positive. But the government is trying. What the government is trying to say, inform people of the state of the pandemic. It's important, Cito, that people realize we are not yet out of the woods. We are so far away from managing this transmission, and the Senate hearing yesterday confirmed all of that. Now, the decision to open up, it's done. How many people got infected over the last 4 days, 5 days? We don't know. But here are the things we do know. Transmissions exist. We have not managed them. Why? Because we haven't had enough testing. Number two, the best way moving forward, test, okay, trace, isolate, treat, no? Okay? We're still grappling with that, okay? Number three, what do we know? Do we have the health facilities in place? Yes, we are. But Joey Concepcion said, we can't afford another surge. We can't afford another lockdown. But it's likely, given how we've managed this over the last 2 months, we will be coming in and out of lockdowns. It's going to be the regular thing. Okay. And if we follow his plan, it's going to be more frequent. Okay. What we're saying here is, let's follow some sort of exit. Yeah. What sort of exit plan? We have to have a plan. Yeah. Come again, sir?
More frequent but livable.
I don't know what that actually means. If we find out in the next 2 weeks that our decisions caused a ripple, then maybe that's possible. A ripple in terms of the number of transmission. But if it turns out to be a tsunami, okay, transmissions increase, then we have to go back to the drawing boards. We are still far from managing this, and that's why it will require us to have a roadmap where all of us are stakeholders, and we know our responsibilities. Government can't do everything, and it's trying to do its best, no, given the situation. But right now, I don't know how to. We're not clear. Okay, what the next steps are. I think government's dealing with it on a day-to-day basis. Okay. But the roadmap, I'm sure they're coming out with it.
Okay,
well, I think that's the best way I can answer your question.
Yeah, I'll have to end it at that, Ranjit and Guido, and thank you very much. At least it gives a lot of people points to ponder about, and you guys keep doing your work there. At least we will have some people who are doing the analysis with objectivity. You guys stay safe, stay strong, and stay healthy, and God bless both of you.
Thank you, Cito.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, that's Professor Ranjit Rai and Professor Guido David of the University of the Philippines. And from here, we will go to our news correspondent, Ria. Wait a minute. I think I've lost all of my... Ria Fernandez. She has been covering the House of Representatives. Let's find out. Ria, good morning to you.
Good morning, Sir Cito.
Okay, Ria, what's been going on with the House of Representatives? Kasi kahapon, muntik na ako malaglag sa silya ko when El Rey Villaforte admitted that there will be no ABS-CBN franchise until October at the latest. October 31 at the latest.
Yeah. There were so many developments in the last few days in the House with regards to the ABS-CBN franchise, and the latest was the House Legislative Franchises Committee was able to set the first hearing next Tuesday at 1 p.m. So we expect it to be held on teleconferencing via Zoom app. And so from there, Speaker Cayetano released a statement, and he said that the hearings will not go beyond July. For them to be able to fast track these hearings, they will do this by like 2 to 3 times in a week and even on recess, because we know that by June 5, they're going on another session break again in time for the State of the Nation address of the President late July. So they will not go beyond July for the hearings, and that by August they will be ready to decide on the matter. But just going back to Deputy Speaker El Rey Villafuerte, he had a rough estimate on the whole legislative process for the ABS-CBN franchise, and he said that it might take like 3 to 4 months. But if we remember the House Bill 6732, which originally yun yung plano nga nila, di ba? They wanted to give provisional franchise first up to October 31, 2020 to ABS-CBN, while they are doing extensive hearings for the new 25-year franchise of ABS-CBN. Originally, their timeline for that is on or before October 31, 2020. Meron na walang 25-year franchise ang ABS-CBN.
Okay, Ria, I'm just curious, and I'm sorry, I'm going to go off our guide here, but I'm just curious because when they started out with this, sabi nila, okay, we are going to go for a provisional franchise. And then they said, teka, you cannot fast track the hearing, you cannot do it in one day, you need to do it in at least 3 days. And
Yes.
we all presumed that that's what they were going to do. Okay, go back to the starting line and we'll do the processing in 3 days. But suddenly, no, we're not going to do this. We are going to go to the full thing. Who torpedoed the whole idea?
What the House leadership kept on saying is that when they reverted back the House Bill 6732, the bill for the provisional franchise for ABS-CBN, to second reading, I think early this week, is that
Mhm.
they discovered that there were a lot of lawmakers who still wanted to ask. They had a lot of amendments, and one of the major amendments that they wanted was, why provisional franchise? Why not go for really the 25-year franchise? And the House leadership, that's what the House leadership is pointing at. That's one of the major reasons why they really decided to forego the House Bill 6732 and instead proceed with the ABS-CBN franchise renewal for 25 years.
So the question now is, was this a zarzuela all along, or was this a torpedo? Was this a sneak attack? I won't ask you to answer that because you're covering Congress, and I
Yes,
don't
yes.
want you to be targeted as well. In any case, what else are the members of Congress working on before they go on their glorious vacation? Paano sila magse-session break? I mean, technically, most of them are stuck in Manila. They can't, they're supposed to be doing their business online. Di ba mayroon tayong state of national emergency? Was this ever considered na teka, we have a problem here? Maybe we should all just continue working just like they do in other countries?
Well, what the House has set in when they resumed the session is that they amended the House rules so that they can accommodate this online meetings, this virtual hybrid sessions wherein only a few members of the House will be going to the House itself to be present at the session, while the rest stays in their homes and then participate online in the discussions, in the sessions, in the meetings. And Speaker Cayetano said that even if they decided to proceed with the ABS-CBN franchise now, they shouldn't forget that they have this commitment to address the measures for those affected by this pandemic, by the COVID-19. So ang sabi nga niya, they really have to multitask.
Mm.
And that's really the reason also why they want to address this ABS-CBN issue now, so that they can put closure to this and then move forward and be able to give their 100% focus on more, what they say, more pressing concerns like the COVID-19 related matters.
Joey Salceda has been Joey Salceda, and I can't remember who else. The Marikina representative,
Stella
Stella
Kimbo?
Kimbo,
Yes.
and Benny Abante. They've all been pushing for the stimulus package. Anong balita mo? Papalabasin ba yung stimulus package na yan? Or see you later? See you in September na naman?
I think what's the latest with regards to all COVID-19 related measures? All of them, I think, are still on the committee level. Just like yesterday, they heard one of the bills that they heard was the one filed by former Health Secretary and now Iloilo Representative Janet Garin, establishing a baseline PCR COVID-19 testing, not only for those symptomatics, but also for those asymptomatic, especially those in the vulnerable sectors. Aside from these economic recovery measures, they also have this. Ito galing to kay Deputy Speaker El Rey Villafuerte, the digitization of the government transactions, and
Mhm.
the new normal bill, which aims to really set out the guidelines on how we are going to conduct ourselves in the new normal setup. So all of these COVID-19 related measures, I think, are still on the committee level and they are still threshing out the discussions for these.
Okay, well, I'll leave it at that, Ria, and thank you very much for giving us an update regarding the House of Representatives, and pakisabihan na lang kami kung anong kabanata ang susunod sa Sarsuela and sa kung babalik pa ba si Cardo sa sa Himpapawid. Thank you very much, Ria. I just need to end it on a lighter, maybe sarcastic note, because I know it's so tough for people like you to do your job, especially because you cannot chase down the congressman or congresswoman. Pwede kang patayan ng tawag or i-turn off yung computer. Thank you very much, Ria. Okay, thank you, Ria Fernandez of TV5, and she is our correspondent here also for Agenda. And well, I guess I don't know. I mean, I've been really working at trying to follow the biblical advice to to be humble, not to be humble, to be positive, to be supportive, etc. But sometimes you just kind of wonder what people are trying to do. I have no positions as far as the ABS-CBN franchise is concerned relative to the work of Congress. I'm not one who would dictate on how they do their jobs, but but when you start saying, "Oh, we are going to fast track the ABS-CBN franchise," "Oh, we are going to come up with a temporary provisional franchise," etc. And then you eventually just say, "Oh, no more, no more. We will end it." It just all comes out like when there was a storm, some people tried to control the situation, and when people calm down, they just kind of pulled the plug, And I don't know. At the end of the day, it's a zarzuela, and I guess it's the zarzuela we get if you guys can't get to watch Provinciano. Thank you for watching Agenda. Thank you for joining us in today's program. Thank you to the two Joeys, Joey Salceda, Joey Concepcion, to our professors from the University of the Philippines, Guido and Ranjit, and of course to Ria Fernandez, and did I miss anyone? I hope not. But in any case, thank you to all of you, and please stay strong, stay safe, stay healthy. God bless all of you, and we thank the Lord for giving us great connections this morning. And for those of you who are suffering flickering connections, might I suggest get PLDT fiber internet, because that's what we've done. And a number of our friends, after they heard my testimony, have been doing likewise, because that's the new normal. You need line connection, you need fiber optic internet, and PLDT has been doing such a great job supporting us here on Agenda. Please stay safe, stay strong, stay healthy. God bless all of you.